big anyway, and you take 50 feet out of that, it would be useless pretty much. So it's like, just go on the other side of the fence. She wants your money. Put it over there.
And when would have been the last time that you had any personal communications with Summit, where you actually had a conversation?
Well, the last paperwork I got was in May. And I think maybe Brandon might have brought them. You know, I don't remember.
That's fine.
I think he brought, because I know I kept thinking, am I ever going to hear from these people after we had talked about, you know, I don't know. But there was no money, nothing, not that, but you would have thought they'd have had some compensation. That's why most people signed, so, but there was none. But I think that's what happened, is the best I can remember.
Sure. And to be clear, since you do have an attorney that you retained with Mr. Jorde, are communications supposed to go through him instead of direct to you, or can it be an open door either way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I can say no. I don't get intimidated, so very easy,
Okay.
but I can say no.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Could we look at that little 4 acres across the river? I'd like to see just, okay, yeah, see, I didn't even know just how it went. There's the ethanol plant up there. Yeah, right there. Yeah. And see, that little 4 acres was part of a 90, if you go, up that way, up the
North and
northeast. Now go east. Keep going. Yeah. And that's the rest of my ground. It was a 90 and it was one piece. And then 20 went through. And so I got this little 4 acres, which the first offering, that's where they were going to put a pumping station. But then evidently they changed their mind and that fell through. So I wasn't just sure how they wanted to go across that 4 acre field. But you can see, I mean, you can't farm, 4 acres and then they're gonna dig that all up, and yeah. So I was just kind of curious as to, I find it very hard to look at their maps and follow what they're doing.
Okay, Mr. Jorde, for a redirect.
I do have a couple. Could we zoom out on that a little bit? Okay, stop there. So those 2 pieces in red, they're both your parcels?
Oh, no.
They're just the triangle?
Just that, and then this way. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, or up that way.
You want us to go further northeast?
No, I don't know.
You want us to go back southwest?
This piece down here. I think
the triangle piece that you just were talking about?
No, not that.
You mean just south of Highway 20?
Yes.
Okay.
Try that. Right there. I think maybe. I think that's it. Sorry.
Then if we could zoom out a little bit more, please, so we can see her other parcels as well. Okay. And I'm sorry if I'm confused, but I thought you had 4 distinct parcels that were Exhibit H. Would it be that triangle piece up there and then these 3?
I wonder if it isn't. That's the only thing I don't know. Yeah. I knew it was 3 or 4, but I don't know. You get all this paperwork and stuff, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, but then, I'm sorry, can we go back to that triangle piece? I just want to be 100% sure. Can you just put your mouse and click? Yeah, okay, so that would be the 4th one. I just wanted to be clear for the record. So the one immediately adjacent to, it's just south of the ethanol plant, and then the 3, the one where you live and where your daughters are that we talked about originally, correct?
Okay.
All right, and then could we get a distance, please, from her home there to the nearest point of the pipeline proposed route? 1,113 feet approximately. Okay. Now, you had said you sell corn directly to that ethanol plant, and given your transportation costs are relatively little due to the proximity, is that a plant that you would intend to keep selling corn to if this goes through?
This year, we have corn over there across the river. We don't have a dryer. I have bins on the old home place. So we will sell to the ethanol plant if it's dry enough. This year, if it's dry enough and we have the time, my son is an electrician. He works a full-time job, 50 hours a week, and does my farming for me, and we run 25 cow-calf operation. So if he has time, because the prices are so bad, we'll bring it home and put it in the bins. But normally we would, and then eventually, if it's 15% or whatever, we will haul it to the ethanol plant, yes. If it's too wet, we have to take it to the elevator, which our elevator owns the ethanol plant.
Okay. So are those typically the two places you would sell to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then if we could take a quick look, please, at Exhibit 611 again. Now, this, again, to be clear for the record, this is simply an exemplar of what you believe above-ground valve site would be. However, would you agree this doesn't appear to be 50 by 50 foot fenced in area? It appears to be smaller, what we're looking at here.
Oh, now see, I'm not very good at that, so I can't even visualize what that must look like.
Okay, well, if each segment of fence, like there's 3 on the north.
Are they each 5 foot?
Well, if they're each approximately 6.5 feet, would you agree that this isn't showing a 50 by 50? It's smaller, what we're looking at here.
Well, that's what they said. You know,
Yeah.
that's all
they told you 50 by 50.
They told me 50 by 50.
Okay.
That's what they told me.
All right, and then that conversation, they had suggested maybe putting it in the north part of your property, but then when you got the most recent paperwork, it was right back to your driveway. Correct? You just say yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And then did you attribute that to the fact that you weren't giving in to them, or why do you think they reneged on what they had suggested?
Well, I guess if it had just been the valve, I might have concluded, well, I didn't want it in the horse pasture, but I still maintain put it in Smith's. But then when they did the pipeline too, you know, and didn't follow the driveway like Mitch had said would be the best scenario for the you know, for the crops and for putting the crops in, then to me it was, well, you didn't sign, so we're going back to our original offer and we don't really care. Yes, that's the impression I had.
And you referenced Mitch Baum. Could you look at his business card and give us the spelling of his last name, please?
B-A-U-M.
B-A-U-M. And again, that's the Summit Ag representative.
Yeah, he said Summit Agricultural Group. So that's kind of, yeah, I think why, like I said, he said he really wasn't in charge, but yet he was, and he ran the show. And I think it was, and I did like it that he was more concerned about the land and doing less damage, you know, to the farming operation, and like I said, not going through my terraces that they never would fix them, be right. And like one guy talked about rocks, I'm out there every year picking up rocks with my ranger people. I'm going to be 74 years old. I don't want to have to go out there and pick up rocks after those people.
And then as to that survey lawsuit where they sued you, do you recollect that when they sued you, they asked for expedited relief, that it was so important to get out and survey, and then 6 months later they just dismissed it after all? Do you recollect that?
Well, I guess I would have assumed. I found it hard to believe they were even suing me because, like I said, I had let them on there before. Had they told me who they were in the first place, I probably never would have called the sheriff. But they lied, and so, like I said, I'm out there by myself. Then all of a sudden, well, we're suing you. It's like, bring an injunction. Why didn't they just bring an injunction with the sheriff? I'd have had to let them get it. I never was going to give them permission. Now, if Governor Reynolds wants to give them permission, or you guys want to give them permission, but they'll never get my permission.
But to be clear, you're asking the IUB to deny the Exhibit H rights, eminent domain rights across your 4 parcels, as well as denying the permit outright, correct?
Right. Like I said, if other people want it, fine, but I don't. I'm not for sale. I don't need your money. I don't want your money. And I don't want it on my property. I don't want it for my grandchildren. I don't want them having to live with the pipeline on their property. And so, go around me. There's lots of land on the other side.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I don't have anything further.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Thoms. Okay, we will be back at 6:50. And Mr. Jorde, at that time, you can let us know who you're going to call.
Yes, I will. It'll probably be Martin Maher, I think, but I'll let you know as soon as we get back.
Thank you. All right, we'll be back in an hour.